Welcome to DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next. The Alumni podcast where you get to hear the inspiring stories and transformation that DVC has had to offer its alumni. And now, on with the episode. And we are live. And so I have Nick Chavez here today. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Nick?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name's Nick. I just graduated with my bachelor's in nutrition and dietetics at San Francisco State University, and I'm an incoming dietetic intern and master's student there. So I also,
Okay.
go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, wait a minute. I missed that part. I had read through your stuff this morning and I kind of missed that part. But yes, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, that's okay. So I went to Concord High School. I graduated 2017. I went straight to DVC. Had some bumps along the road. Kind of took some breaks from school. And I
Well,
went back and eventually transferred to SF State.
yeah.
And now I'm working
So,
at John Muir Health.
so, so let's go back a little bit. So you grew up in Concord. I grew up over by Four Corners, which you have to be a local to know where that is. But so you grew up over by Concord High. You went there, and did you enjoy your high school experience over there?
Yeah, totally. So right before I started high school, I went to the orientation day, and there was a bunch of these kids walking around with posters saying, "Join the cross country team, join the cross country team." And my family was like, "Nick, you've been running lately. Maybe you should try that." And I was like, I don't really like racing. I just run for fun." And they convinced me, and I think cross country and track were definitely the two things that made high school what it was for me. And yeah, I loved it for sure. It was a great experience.
Cool. So,
Yeah.
so then you headed over to DVC. Now, why is it you decided to go straight over? I think it's a wise choice for a lot of reasons. But what was the thought process on going straight over to DVC right after high school?
Yeah, so, to be honest, I applied to a lot of four-year schools, and I think I just got this kinda sounds silly, but I kinda got overwhelmed and didn't really check my portals, and I eventually just kinda missed the deadlines, and I was like, "Oh, well, I guess I'll go to DVC," like, that works, it's a good school, people like it, and it ended up being great, and, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, so I just started at DVC, tried a couple different classes, and yeah, I loved it. It was great.
So, well, and you actually bring up a great point. I think most people, not most, I'm going to say probably half the people that show up at DVC are like, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up, type thing.
Yeah, that was me
And
for sure.
well, I'm way older than you and probably older than your parents, and it's like I'm still trying to figure out what I'm gonna be when I grow up. But regardless, the thing is with DVC is it's a place for you to experience that without costing you a ton of money. So
Yeah.
walk us through that time period.
Yeah, so I had just finished. I went straight out. I didn't really take a break or anything, and I was kinda like I knew I wanted something sort of entrepreneurial. That's kinda what I was thinking at the moment. So I thought, "Alright, I'll do business." That's what everyone does who wants to be an entrepreneur, so I'll try that. And the first semester was fine. The second semester, I kind of just I don't know, it was a lot harder than high school. High school came pretty easy to me, the academics, not that I didn't work hard, but it was kinda just pay attention in class and I was fine for the tests, but it definitely levels up in college, even though, community college has that, like, stereotype, "Oh, it's not that hard, it's just community college," which is not true. Not true at all. DVC
Yeah,
is an incredible school and a hard one too, with great
repeat that last
teachers.
part for us, so we'll use that clip.
Yeah, so DVC and just community college in general has sort of a stigma or like a stereotype that, "Oh, it's not that hard, it's just community college, it's just a JC." That's not the case. It's definitely rigorous for sure. Don't go thinking that because you won't end up with a good grade. And for me, I was kinda like it hit me like a truck. I was like, "What's going on?" Like, I'm doing the same thing I did in high school, and, like, things are a lot harder, I don't know what to do, and it just started to get in my head that maybe maybe college wasn't for me, or school wasn't for me. And I remember in my English class, we were reading this book, um, and it was about a college professor. It wasn't our professor arguing this, but the professor in the book was saying, half the people don't belong at college. And that kind of got in my head at that weird time where I was feeling like I didn't belong. And I was like, maybe I'm the other half. So I dropped out. I dropped all my classes and I just started working full time. And fast forward a year and a half, my sister and my best friend convinced me, like, hey, you should go back. You should try it again. You're not really like how working retail. They're like, you're not really going anywhere right now. And that hurt in the moment, but I'm really glad they did compared to where I am now. And I listened. I said, you know what, you're right. So let me go back. And my whole strategy was, let me just take some classes that I like. Let me do some things that I'm interested in. Let's not make it feel like work. Let's just get some credits knocked off and make it fun. So I took a public speaking class. I retook that same English class that made me drop out. And it wasn't the teacher's fault. It was just the topic we're talking about. And I knew I was interested in, at that point in time, either nutrition or physical therapy. So I was like, all right, let me take an intro to both and kind of see what they're about. It took me one class to figure out that physical therapy wasn't for me. So I was like, okay, nutrition it is. And I took some nutrition classes and I kind of, met with my counselor and figured out like, all right, it's time to get serious. Like, what do I need to do? I want to go to SF State. My sister went there. And that was just kind of, I had my heart set there. I was like, what do I need to do? How long is it going to take? And how am I going to do it? And that's kind of where I went from there.
So, well, and actually, I think your story with variations is typical of
Yeah.
DVC.
Yeah.
Gosh, I want to do this, or I'm gonna be, so I think that's one of the great things about DVC is it gives people a place to explore different, like, what do I want to be? What do I want to do? Where's my passion at?
Yeah.
So, what was it about nutrition that kind of really grabbed you?
Yeah. That's a great question. So, my family and especially myself have struggled with health and more specifically weight all our lives. I grew up overweight. I'm still a little chunky. I lost a lot of weight in high school, and that's kind of what triggered that. So I lost about 75 or 80 pounds between high school or between middle school and high school. And did that, just by eating healthier, cutting out certain things, exercising more. And that's kind of what made my family tell me, like, oh, you should do cross country because you've been running for exercise. And I lost a lot of weight and I figured, okay, I'm kind of a people person. I like helping people. If I did this really difficult thing, it would be really cool to help other people do it. Because weight loss and nutrition and health in general is, things that are, how do I say this? They're sort of like, I don't know, there's a lot of like snake oil salesmen and supplements and things like that. I just wanted to like cut all the BS and what's the real, true, like unsexy way to do it, right? And I figured if I can do that, I can help people do that. So that was the whole nutrition thing. It kind of stemmed from there. And I took some of the nutrition classes like I was talking about. I'm trying to remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was Professor Saychow and Dr. Bergen were my first nutrition teachers. And in those classes, I learned what a registered dietitian was. And I was like, wait. You can get paid to study and help people with their nutrition? Sign me up. So that's kind of what made me want to be where I am now. I'm in the path to becoming a registered dietitian. And we'll talk more about that too. But I was like, holy crap, like that's a thing. Like I thought it was just a hobby or like something that people paid attention to. And that's kind of really where the wheels started going for me. Is, like I mentioned, I met with my counselor. I was like, I want to go to SF State. I want to study nutrition. And then, oh, holy crap, there's a career for this. Get me to that next path. And that's what set it off.
Wow. So I'll drop a little. My mom,
Uh,
who's passed some years ago, she was a registered dietitian. Of course, she was a
no
registered
way.
yeah, but she also was a
Oh my
registered
gosh.
dietitian in the late 40s. So I'm sure that nutrition has changed quite a bit since then.
Yeah.
For one thing, fiber is much more important than it used to be. And smoking was still okay. Um, yeah. So, well, I mean, and that's very exciting. I mean, that you found that career path, and it's like it was kind of like that oh my gosh, I actually could get paid to do this. What a
Yeah.
concept.
Yeah. What the hell?
Yeah.
And
So
that's,
so
oh, go ahead.
walk through your process of getting the transfer to SF State, and then when you first got there, what was that like?
Yeah. So it looked like just me meeting with my counselor, and, we looked and said, okay, we use the assist.org. It's been a while. It's been a while. But we saw, okay, like these are the classes that we have here at DVC that are the same that you would take in your lower division, like first and second year at SF State. So you need to take these to transfer because they transfer over and they're the equivalent credit, right? They're what you would take at SF State. So take those classes and get the timing right. Like some classes are only offered in fall, some are only offered in spring. When can I get there? All that sort of deal. Um, so I just kind of buckled down and I took the classes I didn't want to take that were really hard. Like I took anatomy during COVID. That was something else. I took anatomy, physiology, the chemistry, all that stuff. It was super hard. And I don't know, I liked it. Besides it being extremely difficult, but I kind of like that challenge, and it was fun. It's just sort of like I was never really a math person, but it feels really damn good when you get a hard math problem right. So I kind of was chasing after that. I was like, oh man, this makes me feel smart. It makes me feel academic. So just kind of going through, buckling down, getting all those classes. And then when I reached the point where I could transfer, I did their orientation at SF State. That was the only school I wanted to go to. There was no other guesses or maybes or anything like that. And for me and for other people listening, maybe this is a good path for you too, because for me, I didn't want to go move away and pay on campus tuition. I didn't want to live super far away. So I was like, all right, SF State, I can BART to. It's pretty cheap, cheaper than UC Berkeley, or not throwing any
Mhm.
shade or anything, but other schools. And I can live at home. So that's perfect. It's the same degree. I want to go there anyway. It offers what I need. And that was the clear choice. So that's kind of like that was the path of getting from DVC to here. And it wasn't easy. It was hard. There's a lot of struggles and you're second guessing yourself and all, and but it's worth it for sure. And that's kind of how I got here from DVC.
Yeah, I'm believing that if you don't spend half your time going, "What the hell was I thinking?"
Uh,
That to me always tells me I'm probably on the right path, is like, especially if it's hard and I'm saying, "What the hell was I thinking?"
and I do
So
that every day now, maybe three
so
times a day.
yeah, well, and you seem to have embraced it quite well, and especially having that passion for it. So you're at SF State now. You commute on BART, correct?
I do. Yeah. And fun fact for you, for anyone who's wanting to be a commuter potentially, um, I don't know if they'll do this in the future. They probably will because they just started it. But my SF State ID card doubles as a Clipper card, and I get free Clipper transit, which is
Wow,
awesome. I've done the math for you listening. It saves me $480 a semester, just BART.
wow,
So
that is amazing.
yeah, if you are the type like me where you're like, and a big factor, I kind of forgot about this, but when I was debating, oh, is school for me or not, is the cost. Like degrees
Mhm.
are expensive now. Education's expensive, unfortunately. But if you want to save money, go to a school that you can commute to. Like us, I'm going to keep plugging SF State because I have just as much passion for SFSU as I do DVC, and both hold a very special place in my heart. So yeah, you can get free transit. The tuition's more expensive, a lot more expensive than DVC, but it's not as expensive as other places. So yeah, that's a huge part for me is the
Yeah.
cost, right? And I'm sure it is for a lot of people listening too.
Well, and that's always a thing, is the cost, and that's one of the great things about using DVC as a transfer school, is you
Hmm.
save so much money
Yeah.
when you finally do get to, SF State or UC, whatever the UC is or whatever the state school is, you save so much money on those getting in the door, and especially if you're smart like you did and went and talked to your counselor, "Okay, this is what I wanna do. Here's my path. What do I have
What's
to
my
do
plan?
here?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, I haven't done the math on that, but depending on the school, it's tens of thousands of dollars. If that's
Mhm.
your holdup as the money, go to DVC. Is it free for the first 2 years now, or is it? I don't remember.
I don't know, and,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, I don't want to say anything that's incorrect, but I mean, for me, when I went and from 2018 to 2021, a semester full time would be $700, and
Mhm.
that like I know that is a lot of money, but like if you work part time, like depending on your job and how much you work, that might be one or two paychecks. It's doable. I'm sure other people have other expenses too, but it's better than $3,500.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So you graduated with your bachelor's at SF State, and now you're headed off to, well, not headed off, but you're
coming
continuing your
back.
pursuit,
Yeah,
at SF State for your master's so you can be a registered dietitian. So you seem very passionate about that, and which is, I think, very exciting. Um, so what looking forward, how much are you looking to, because you have a job now, you're an intern, and talk about what the process is in there, like all the things that are going on as far as, because you got a lot of wheels going. A
I
lot of
do.
things are juggling around.
I do. I feel like an 18-wheel semi. Yeah. But actually, I'll back up a little bit because there is a little bit more that I didn't fill in. So I think I mentioned this earlier, but you might think like, oh, this guy had some bumps in the road and then he got to his transfer school and everything was fine. Everything was not fine. There was a lot more struggle. I dropped out again. Like I got to the place that I was like, this is the Mecca, this is the Holy Land. And I dropped out again because I had the same struggle of like, man, school is not for me. I don't know what to do, blah, blah, blah. I think I dropped out in my second semester at SF State again. It was either the second or third, it doesn't matter. But there was more bumps in the road. So if you're kind of the untraditional path like myself and you're beating yourself up or kind of wondering like, man, what am I doing? Like, I don't know, ask yourself honest questions and stick with it. You know, school isn't for everyone, but you you figure it out if you keep asking yourself those questions and keep working towards it. But I went to that orientation and I had it in my mind, okay, like I want to be a registered dietitian. Who do I talk to? And this lady gave me one of my now teacher's emails. And I talked to her and we figured it out and I got into some classes. And then the same thing again, it hit me like a truck, like, man, this shit's hard. Like, what am I doing? Like, do I belong here? Like, what the hell? I don't know. And, it seemed like the message kind of is that community nutrition. So there's two paths if you're interested in nutrition. There's the community path where you can work at things like WIC or Meals on Wheels or things like that. And then there's a dietetics path where you're a registered dietitian. Clinical pays more. And it's, like that's kind of like the idea. And it's true. I mean, maybe there's some cases where it's not true, but that's the path I took. And I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do clinical. It just like there's definitely times where it seemed like the last thing on earth I wanted to do. But I learned more about it, and just throughout my time in school, I'm kinda like, "Oh, I kinda like it because it's that same kinda thing where it's that challenge, and it's that difficulty, and when you get it, you're like, "Oh, wait, this is kinda fun." It's not fun when you suck at it, but when when you get it, it's really fun. So I'm like, "Okay, maybe I don't hate this." And it's not like "Oh, I'm only doing it for the money" kinda thing, which is, a struggle for a lot of people, but it's like, "Okay, if it pays good and I don't dislike it like I thought I did, maybe I should stick with this." But yeah, I kinda had that struggle a lot where I didn't know, like, if this was for me, especially the clinical route. And in my mind, I'm not saying this is true, but what I was telling myself was, okay, if clinical is the only way to make real good money and I need a master's degree, and I didn't feel like I was liking it, I was like, what the hell am I doing? So I dropped out again. And this time it wasn't for a year and a half, it was for maybe a semester. And I went back and kinda same thing. I was like, all right, let me just finish the things I dropped out of and kind of like get a grip on that, fix my W's or whatever was on my transcript. And let me just try again. And I tried again. And the first year was online, which kind of sucked because I don't know, I like being in person and talking to people and being able to raise my hand in class and all that. But I got through that 1 year and then I went in person and it was amazing. It was awesome. I was making friends. I had a community. I joined the nutrition club at SF State, and things really felt like they were rolling. So that definitely helped a lot. And then I guess another point that I missed, when I first transferred, I was asking about, what's the path to becoming a registered dietitian? And at this point, it was you need your bachelor's, you need a master's, and you need to do a dietetic internship, which is either 1,000 or 1,200 hours of supervised practice, and then you take a board test. So it's a lot of stuff. And I, got that one teacher's email and I was like, what do I need to do? And she was like, okay, you need to do all this and you need to get into this dietetic internship. That's the hard part.
Mhm.
Masters, it's not terribly hard. Like the admissions rate is pretty easy. It's not too unforgiving, but the hard part is the dietetic internship for sure. And what that requires, they're telling me, okay, you need good grades, you need to be well-rounded, you need work experience, you need to be a volunteer. And from that point on, I kind of centered my life around getting into this internship. And I was like, that's all I want. So I went out and I got I got a job at, it was like a school lunch thing. I don't even remember. The point is, it didn't last. I did not like it. And that was kind of like the thing. I was like, "Oh man, I don't like this." Like that was kind of the voice in the back of my head that's telling me like this isn't working for you. And I went back and I tried again and I got a job at where I am now in at John Muir as a nutrition assistant. And that, it was hard at first, but it worked. And I was like, okay, like I have the clinical job experience I'm getting. I'm in the SNDA. I was vice president and I had a pretty good grade. So I was like, let me just keep plugging away at this pretty much. That's kind of like was the process from that point on.
So yeah, so I guess so you got to finish your master's and then you got to take the test I y- yeah, it's funny because like there's everyone thinks the education part is the hard part, and it's like no, that's just one gate you got to get through, and that's a pretty easy gate. I mean, not to
Yeah.
say that it's easy.
But comparatively,
Yes, it can be a
yeah.
lot tougher. So at this point, you seem pretty settled in this. So what are some of the things like what does your day to day look like as far as with your internship?
That hasn't started yet. I'm on a little break
Okay.
right now. So that will be starting. I start summer classes July 7th, and then I go into a combined master's and internship program August 25th. So what that'll look like is basically Mondays, we have all our classes stacked for like 8 hours, and then Tuesday through Friday, interning. So that'll be fun. And that's
Uh,
not sarcastic. I mean, maybe a little, but also not.
well, I imagine the first few months, it's like by the time you get to Friday, your brain will be a puddle, and it's just trying to get all the things. But it's like anything, it's tough at first, but if you just keep plugging away at it, you get there. It's like um, so you're getting ready for that. You're going to be starting soon. So what other stuff do you do right now? I mean, what do you do for fun? Are you still running, or are you still, you know?
Yeah, I do a lot. I play guitar, I run. I used to ride dirt bikes. I haven't done it in a while. My truck that I used for that is not working, so that's kind of hard to transport a motorcycle otherwise. But yeah, I did a half marathon a couple months ago, and I'm signed up for another in July. I haven't gotten to train for that because I've been so busy with school. I just finished, but we'll have to go get some new shoes and get back out there pretty soon. But yeah, stuff like that. At SF State, we would have open mics, and my friends and I would play guitar or sing there. That was really fun. Um, Kind of a jack of all trades, master of none sort of thing. I have a lot of different things I do, but no one specific thing really.
Yeah. Well, and actually that quote, you should look up the entire quote. The reason is there's the second half of the quote, and I can't remember it, but basically being a jack of all trades and a master of none, basically makes you a better rounded person. So,
I like that perspective.
yeah, and nobody figures that part out. They say it as a demeaning thing, and if you read the rest of the quote, it's just like, see, now you're gonna make me go look it up. But that's fine. So, well, I'm actually very excited. I mean, so give us a couple of nutritional tips. Like let's imagine for a moment somebody's trying to lose a little bit of weight. Then they don't want to deprive because one of the big things I think is everyone thinks, okay, I'm either going to go get Ozempic or I've got to go on a crash diet or some crazy, only protein drinks or drinking nothing but pepper water or lemons or something like that, rubbing lemons on my forehead. And I know that when I've been successful at losing weight, it's because I was exercising and I just cut back in calories and was more intentional about my protein.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
you kinda hit the nail on the head there. There's a lot of, like, I'll just say it, gimmicks and, kinda snake oil salesman-y type of things. And I don't know what it is in us because I feel like if you told someone that in order to get better at your job, you like to be a better, they'll say a better data analyst, you need to rub lemons on your forehead. You'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? You're crazy. But when it comes to losing weight, we're like, oh, wait a minute, that sounds kind of good. Let me try that. And I'm not shaming anyone. It's just kind of silly. And I think it's good to poke fun at that. But no, we do all feel like I know times I've been inclined to think of things like that, like because we just get so desperate because it's so difficult, right? Um, it's not easy, but it's simple. And the thing that I see a lot of people doing, and I kind of have more of a lens of like, I like to incorporate the whole thing. How do I put this? Like, I don't know. I like the psychology of it, the kind of mental aspect, the sort of what worked for you. There's no silver bullet really. A lot of people try and say like, oh, get on this diet to lose weight. It's like, okay, well, what if that diet has fish and what if I don't like fish? Like, then you're kind of screwed. Like, there's no one thing. I mean, the basis of it is like to not overeat. And that's kind of like there's a lot of different ways to do that. In our society, there's a lot of very calorically dense foods. And that means something that like picture like a milkshake. Like it's just drinking it. It's just drinking something. It's not filling, but there's 800 calories in it. And the idea, the kind of perspective and lens I like to look through is definitely not to shame yourself, to be kind to yourself and not like, oh, I need to go run 5 miles because I suck because I just ate a bag of chips. Like, if that's your perspective, like I understand that, but it's just, I don't know. I'd encourage someone to try not thinking that way and do something more out of self love and out of care for yourself. Whereas, like, me, like I do think like that. Like that's my first initial. I'm like, no, let's try something else. Let's say, okay, well, I know I feel better after I go run mentally, physically. It makes me feel good. So let me do it in order to feel good, right? Instead of like to punish myself. There's a million different things you can do to quote lose weight and a million ways you could do it. But instead of listening to someone that says, oh, you have to do this diet, like do something that works for you. There's a million different things you could do, right? Um, there's my mind is going in a million different directions because there's so many things I
Well,
want to talk about on this
oh, I know.
subject.
Well, and you're actually touching on something that it's like, because I've done all the fad, you know,
We
my
all
wife
have,
and I have.
yeah.
Yeah. Thing I notice is things that work are usually things we can stick with, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
So
That's the point.
so imagine for a moment, okay, I'm getting ready to, I wanna increase my protein and, get extra nutrients and all that good stuff. It's like, what would be a good kind of like good way to get started on that as far as what would that look like, a dietary plan for that, like starting this weekend?
Yeah, I'd say
Oh,
like,
and by the way, I just got a new smoker, so there's gonna be some smoked meat in there.
oh, yeah, why wouldn't there be? And that's another thing real quick before I forget is like, I don't know, I think there's room for all, right? Like it's funny, like dietitians, like my teacher talks about this a lot, where she's at a party and people are like looking at her like, oh, is she judging my plate? It's like, no, she's a person just like everyone else. Like there's room for everything. Like I'm in school to be a dietitian, but I can put away some ice cream. I love ice cream. I love sweets. People say, oh, I have a sweet tooth. I have 32. I have sweet teeth. I love sweet things. But yeah, I'd say eating more nutritionally dense, like whole foods. So nutritionally dense means, vegetables, things with a lot of vitamins, nutrients, things like that, like whole foods that aren't as calorically dense. And the cool thing here is if you eat, like chicken, vegetables, rice, or, whatever, things like that, that's more kind of whole foods, you can eat more and it's less calories. So you don't, it's easier to do it that way in a sense, right? But I would say, like, think of things that you like, things that are realistic, doable, instead of like making this crazy plan that it would be impossible to do, right? Like it would just really depend on the person. Like if you want to give me a more of an example, I might be able to help you with that. But
Well, I
it's kind of
was
hard to narrow it down.
oh, I know, and I kinda put you on the spot. So,
No,
one of
that's
my
okay.
favorites, though, one of my favorites is that the whole thought process that carbs are evil. All carbs are
Hate
bad,
that.
and everything has carbs that you stick in the hole in the front of your head, so it's just kind of,
Hmm.
so talk us through a little bit of that, 'cause, it's like, I mean, my wife and I occasionally get to go out for Sunday breakfast, and so I love a waffle, you
Yeah.
know?
And like I said, again, room for all, right? And it's just
Yeah.
moderation. But yeah, I mean, not all sugar is the same. Like if you think of a carb, like it's it's in almost everything and your body needs it. It's like your brain's fuel source, right? So the sugar in fruit is a lot different than the sugar in a Twinkie. They're not the same thing. I mean, they're both sugar, but the sugar in the fruit has a lot of stuff like fiber, like pigments, like things to slow it down, antioxidants, like nutrients. And the sugar in a Twinkie is like just raw sugar. And it's not that sugar's the bad thing, it's just like too much of anything, right? Like you have someone with a renal diet, like that means they don't have properly functioning kidneys. For them, phosphorus is, something that they need to limit, or potassium. Like kind of, I don't know if this helps, but maybe picture it like, I don't know, just take away the name sugar, as silly as that sounds, like just too much of this one thing, right? Too much of anything. Too much water will kill you. If you chug water, you've heard stories about what was it a while ago, the hazing out of college where they were,
That was at Chico State, yeah, and there was actually
yeah,
a nonprofit that started over that, yeah, so
yeah. So too much
Mhm.
of anything will kill you,
Yeah.
right? So just, I don't know.
Well,
I'm kind of,
I
go ahead.
know, but I'd like and I hadn't really thought of it like the whole thing with sugar. It's like, okay, so, the thing is and you brought up the point about the sugar in the fruit, right? So let's say strawberries, because that's their season and they're delicious. And then there's the sugar in the Twinkie. Well, they may have individually the same amount of sugar. That'd be a lot of strawberries, but we'll just imagine, just to help me walk me through this and just tell me if I'm on the
Yeah,
right track. But the difference being is that because the Twinkie doesn't have fiber and antioxidants and all the other stuff goes with it, it hits your bloodstream, heartbeat. And so it just
quicker.
whereas
Yeah,
with your whereas with your when you're eating the actual food, that happens to have sugar in, which is why we love them. It's like at that point it slows it down and it kind of gives us a chance, and so we don't get that crash also.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's more complicated stuff too that I don't know goes into that. You can go super deep into that. But for the average person, for what we need to know as people who eat food, which is everyone, that's it. That's the gist of it, right? And yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of other stuff that goes into it, but essentially, yeah, 100%. But I don't know, sugar definitely gets demonized and it's like, "Oh, it's bad." It's not though. But anything, almost anything can be bad for anyone. Like, you have someone who has a heart condition and they need to watch their salt. Maybe I don't, but for them they do. And it's just this certain nutrient for the certain condition, right? And for us, just with our food supply and the way things are, sugar's in everything. So it's become one of those things that we kind of need to look out for because it's in everything. So whether it was fat, salt, protein, like whatever it is, like replace sugar with any other nutrient. If that was like dumped into everything in our food supply, we would need to watch that one nutrient. It's not because sugar is bad, just because it's like we're getting too much of it too easily, essentially,
Yeah.
right? So that's kind of the whole thing behind that, or at least from my perspective.
Okay.
But yeah,
Well,
for
and
those
and
listening,
and
sugar's not bad. Fruit's not bad.
well, you see, you gave the piece of advice nobody wants to hear, which is like all things in moderation.
Yeah,
So
I don't even want to hear that half the time.
I know, but everybody wants that quick fix, and it's just like, no, there's not one. There's a great book called Atomic Habits, and I can't remember the name of the author, but it's like you
James
know,
Clear.
yes, yes, great book, and I think that speaks volumes to, like, this is how we should approach nutrition, this is how we should approach, exercise, everything. Because it's like you were talking about, it's like, "Oh gosh, I ate a Twinkie, so I have to go out and run 5 miles." Well, what if you haven't run 5 miles in a decade and suddenly you're gonna strap
Yeah,
on your shoes and go out, you'd probably have a stroke, you know? So,
yeah.
again, atomic habits. So, well,
Yeah.
is there anything you want to? We'll wrap up here. So, is there anything you want to forward looking? Are you sound like you're pretty well at getting yourself set up pretty well for like what the future looks like, and you seem pretty engaged about that. So, what do you feel like? How do you feel about the future?
I guess my quick answer is always positive because I think that's the way you need to be, or at least for me, I need to be positive. I don't want to be negative. But yeah, I mean, we all have these cool things in front of us that you can get anything, anytime, anywhere as far as information. And I don't know, I think a positive outlook is best. And, you know, just, I don't even know how to describe it, but just, I think said this already, but if you ask yourself the right things and you keep trying, you'll figure it out, whatever it is in life. But yeah, I feel pretty good about, kind of like for myself, my future, where I'm going. It's going to be difficult, it's going to be hard, but it's also going to be fun, and it's going to inspire growth and change and betterment for sure. Um, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I feel. I guess the quick answer is I feel good about it. I don't think that there's. Just think the more information we have, the better we're off, right? And with that, there's information overload, and there's a negative side of that where there's almost too much information. But I don't know. I think if we're honest with ourselves, we'll be okay.
Cool. All righty. Well,
Yeah,
we are gonna sign off. I appreciate your time. Hang out after we get off the air here, but I appreciate your time. And we will see you soon. And best of luck on your programs that you're starting. So you get a short break, and
short
then
one.
you're back into the grind. And it sounds like it's going to be quite the experience.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited.
Cool.
Well, thank
All
you very
right.
much.
Thanks a lot, Nick.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next, the podcast for the DVC Alumni Association. You can contact us at alumni@dvc.edu with any comments, and be sure to leave a like and subscribe to our podcast.